T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life has value.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Global Watchman News. My name is Lori Spahn. I hope you guys are all doing well. If you are in the live chat, we do ask that you keep it family friendly. There will be moderators in there to make sure that we stay within the terms of service put forth to us by the platform we're utilizing tonight. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Take a minute and hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell so you know when we go live. So tonight's Wednesday night. We are back on schedule. And yeah, how you doing, Ray?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. Good.
It was a pretty rough weekend, but you know, God blessed me with the ability to speak to the church on Sunday, and that went very well from what I've heard. So pretty happy with that.
It was a very good sermon, by the way. And if you guys are interested in rewatching it, it is on the channel. Just click on videos and you should see it. It says, the sermon. So kudos. We are welcoming back to the panel because it's Wednesday night, Big John and Hero. Hey, Big John.
It's your old pal back again one more time. And it's been a while.
It has been a few weeks. Glad you're back. Yeah, a lot happened. Well, kind of a lot happened since, your last here. You were sick, but you're better. And glad you're.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I guess I had I don't know if it was laryngitis or not. I couldn't talk.
Allergies, maybe?
Yeah, probably so. I changed climates pretty rapidly, so it happened after that. So yeah, it probably was it.
There you go. Well, we're glad to have you back. And we also are welcoming back to the panel Hero. Hey, Hero.
How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
Good. Well, we decided, John and I, we kind of had a conversation. A lot of stuff is going on. So we're gonna kind of be what do I say? Kind of an umbrella topic tonight that I put up, and the name of the show is NASA the Deceiver, because we wanted to talk about things that are going on, and we can go in many different avenues. We can talk about the moon landing. We can talk about NASA in that. We can talk about SpaceX. We can talk about disclosure. We can talk about DARPA. So many different directions to go. So yeah, but which one do you want to start with? Should we talk about the moon landing?
Definitely.
What moon landing?
Yeah, or that.
What moon landing? Exactly.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know either. So, all right. So President John F. Kennedy back in 1961, he said, "I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. No single space project will be more exciting or more impressive to mankind or more important, and none will be so difficult or expensive to accomplish." Back in the 1960s, there was a space race between the United States and Russia. And during that time, the United States and Russia both had failures, guys. I mean, literally, we lost a lot of men during that time, didn't we?
Yeah, a lot of things happen. Didn't some astronauts get burned up in the at the launch side? And
yeah, that was and if you go into the numerology of that whole event, it was definitely what a lot of people are calling a fire sacrifice during that time. I believe that one of the astronauts' name was Grissom, and Grissom was a 33rd degree Mason, and the whole thing was very ritualistic. Yeah, Apollo 8 it was.
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. I know they had a lot of problems, but it's like it's always something where they can never get to space.
Yeah,
because they can't.
Yeah, it was one thing after another, and we were in this race to beat the Russians. So when people sit there, we got to be really careful, because I've noticed that when I was doing research and pulling up things tonight, there's a lot of fact checkers when it comes to this topic, which should be a red flag for people too. And so kind of going to be careful, kind of, we're not going to say with I'm not going to sit here and say we didn't go to the moon. I'm not going to say that. We're going to say things look like it could have possibly not really happened. Because when you think about it, guys, the race was between the two superpowers, Russia and the United States. And each country had a lot to lose if they failed. And when the United States made it up to the moon, supposedly, they won this race, which put us over the top with the world. And I think we, in my opinion, I believe we lied about it. Let's get you guys' opinion.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I don't believe any bit of it. I never really believed any bit of it. And I was diving down a little bit into this when we were talking before the broadcast started. There's so many things that we've been told throughout history that doesn't make sense. And as a kid growing up, when I heard about a lot of this stuff, I always asked, how did that make sense?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how come we haven't been back? I was asking that question for decades. And it just seems like what they said and what I observe in reality are two different things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Especially looking from a biblical perspective. I mean, I've been reading the Bible my entire life pretty much. And the fact of the matter is, like, if God created a firmament, how is anybody going to get past that, especially when the heavens is right behind it?
Right. Exactly. John?
You know, even in everything that I talk about and in my conversion, the only thing that I confirmed, which is in the scripture, is that the earth is hollow, flat. I don't know. It's logical to me. I never got on that route. Once I figured out that the fallen angels, you know, had all the part and you know, and all the deception of every human's problems, I kind of just never really thought about the flat earth. Heard about it, but never looked into it, never really cared, because I was like, well, this, to me, the Nephilim was always more of a, I can convince people, or not even convince them, I can show them that giants existed.
Right.
And that was more of a have their eyes open rather than, oh, there's flat. I'm not saying there, you know, some people have been turned around by the earth being flat, you know, their research, whatnot. But the earth being hollow was, you know, when God asked Lucifer, where you been? He's like, well, walking in and out of the earth. And that was the only thing that I ever correlated with anything about like the shape of the earth or whatever.
Right.
But if you look at the moon landing, it's like even when he made the telephone call, and you can't get a damn phone call and right now.
We have a hard time keeping you on the live stream.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly it. But yeah, they're talking on an old rotary phone. I mean, and then the way that little spacecraft looked, and who filmed Armstrong coming off the damn, you know,
it looks like it was created with curtain rods and tinfoil.
Yeah, exactly. It looks so dumb, and you know, and like I said, it like who filmed? They went out there and filmed, you know, set up the camera, then they're like, well, let's film him coming off for the first time to step on the moon. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like, but you know, here's the thing: people can today watch reality shows, right?
Yeah.
And they believe that's real. But when they have a scene where you like, well, we're going to go talk to so and so today, and then when you get there, there's a camera looking at you, ring the doorbell. It's like, well, they know you're coming, you know. That's not reality. That's not real. It's a setup. What's the same thing with the moon? Like, who filmed them coming out of the space landing craft for the first time?
Right.
Yeah, how are you going to be able to radio back down to Earth or something?
Yeah, I mean, the telephone call. That's just, all that stuff is just weird. It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
I'm going to show you guys something, and I'm just going to put it up on the screen. Now, this is a real picture of Nixon speaking to Apollo 11. You ready? Let's see if you guys notice. Anybody see it?
Yep.
Where the hell did you get the picture of the moon on the wall?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, isn't that the Earth from the moon or something?
Yeah.
Looks like a really bad Bob Ross painting.
Right? Now, that's a picture of Earth.
Happy clouds.
Yeah, happy little clouds. Yeah, that's a picture of Earth, looking at Earth from the moon on his wall. And he's supposedly speaking with Apollo 11 in that picture. Interesting. What about your opinion on it before we go any further, Hero?
I don't know. It just, even when I was younger, it never really made sense to me how spending millions of dollars to fly to a planet with nothing on it was going to help us beat Russia. That never made sense to me. Like, we're gonna spend millions of dollars, have people get blown up in rockets to fly to a planet. We have no idea what's on it.
Yeah.
We have no idea if we're gonna even survive and be able to get back.
Trillions.
Just we can plant a flag.
Trillions of dollars. I mean, it's amazing.
Wait a minute. They say space, there's no gravity in space. how in the world were they walking on a rock?
Okay, there is gravity on the moon, but it's only like a third of what it is here. So
Oh, so that's what they say.
yeah, that's there is gravity on the moon. So yeah. So before we go any further, I want to remind people that the creation of NASA happened after Paperclip. And we talked about that a couple weeks ago, talking about Project Paperclip and how the Nazi scientists were brought over. Those Nuremberg trials, they were smoke and mirrors.
Oh yeah.
And they brought these people, these scientists over here and created government agencies like NASA, CIA, FBI, Secret Service. All these things were created by the Nazis. So when they brought over von Braun, let me just, where is it? Here we go. Werner von Braun. When we think of Werner von Braun, we think of somebody who was alive like long time ago, but he lived until 1977. Do you guys know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's this Alabama. You've talked about this for a while now, John, about the things that happened in Alabama
Oh yeah.
with NASA. Can you just kind of go over that a little bit?
Well, yeah. Most of when they built everything, it was always in Huntsville, in Alabama. And my personal opinion is some of the technology that they brought over with Paperclip were Stargates, and the Stargates were in Alabama. Because lots of things around, to like what I would say civilian, regular residents, a lot of weird people can describe a lot of weird things around there with like, those babies being born with serpent tails and all the communes, and and Trish used to, would talk about that too. But a lot of the guys, even though that was you can't really say, you could say Air Force, I guess, but all your military psychiatrists, including old Aquino, came out of that area.
Right.
So the whole PSYOP operation came from Redstone Arsenal and all the rocketries. But I think they had I think they brought all their demonic fallen angel technology with them, and it ended up in Alabama.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting that von Braun talks about the Alabama connections. That shortly after NASA was created, the U.S. Army Ballistic Missile Agency, a research group led by Werner von Braun, was transferred to the Civilian Space Agency, and in 1960 it became the core of NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. Until 1970, von Braun served as the first director of the Marshall Center, which was responsible for developing rocket engines and launch vehicles, including the American moon rocket and the giant Saturn V. Von Braun was an avid proponent of space exploration, and in the 1950s he collaborated on a series of popular magazine articles and television shows depicting future space travel. Now, NASA was a accumulation or a conglomeration of Werner von Braun's technology and specialty, and what Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard and Crowley all did, correct?
Yes.
So that's where we get our occult ties with the occult, because NASA,
it was definitely a trade-off, because the rocket technology, the guided rocket technology, came from the V1 and V2, which were the Nazi ballistic missiles. But that technology was a trade-off, because von Braun said our technology came from other than this world. He said that.
Yeah.
And whether they were using their little little artifacts there in Alabama, like I think they literally got the blueprints and all that to most of their things, like including what made the Vimanas fly, which were the old spacecraft, like in the Hindu culture. I think, that's why the first UFO craft that Nazis built kind of looked like a Vimanus, but more of a disc.
Exactly. Well, I mean, they had this technology. I mean, all this technology came from somewhere. As we know, the occult ties that Hitler had. We've talked about that many times. You guys go back and listen to previous shows where we've talked about the occult ties that Hitler had, and the technology that we believe that he was given to him by fallen angels.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of technology we're using today, to be honest with you. And obviously, as the title of this broadcast is, it's all to deceive us.
Exactly. I'm going to put this up 1965. So this was before the moon landing. This was a meeting with NASA and film director Stanley Kubrick and Arthur C. Clarke, along with George Mueller, who was a senior administrator for the Apollo project, Donald Slayton, who was a NASA astronaut, and Frederick Ordway, who was also another NASA advisors, all met with each other. I'm gonna put this to the panel. Why on earth would Kubrick and Clarke be brought in on this? Take it away, guys. I want to hear your opinion on this.
Well, the answer is quite simple. It is to create a show. I mean, that's what they specialize in, creating shows, creating forms of entertainment. I mean, they're working with, engineers to be able to create this like scene of where it can be both believable and irrefutable. But in actuality, back in those times, they had no internet, so they couldn't cross reference things and see how things doesn't add up. So during those times, it was easy for them to do so.
Right. Exactly.
Whereas now we have things such as artificial intelligence and other different types of demonic technology where they can be used to deceive and making it harder for us to be able to tell which is real and which is fake. I mean, that's what these people in Hollywood are designed to do, to distort our reality, to engage us into something that is not necessarily real, just to give us the perception that these things are real and brainwash the masses into thinking that, okay, this is real. Anybody who refutes this, they're a nut job.
Well, yeah. And, and after Kennedy was assassinated, that's when the term conspiracy theorist was brought into it. And, we know how that plays into this moon landing. John, what's your opinion of why Clarke and Kubrick were there?
Well, Clarke was MI6, and Kubrick did Clockwork Orange, and he did 2001: A Space Odyssey. Now Clarke did the one about where the children are taken, Childhood's End.
Childhood's End. Mm-hmm.
So now, when he put the description of the actual so-say aliens, they say that's exactly what that particular hierarchy looks like. The one that they show with the hooves and the horns and the wings on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Clarke and Kubrick, Clarke for sure, he was part of the project that Bill Gates took over in Washington State, where they were stopping people's hearts with medicines and then putting them on ice. Where these people, when they cross over, because they'll die, and they'll cross over and they get the technology from the first step of demons, which are called machine elves. Now, when the Nazis first started doing DMT, they would go across into the dimensions with the drug, but the machine elves really wouldn't give up because they weren't fully on that dimensional plane yet. So that's when they moved to stopping the hearts and actually killing the people but having them on standby to be revived. And Bill Gates led this project after Clark did, in Seattle. And these people were getting the good stuff from these machine elves. And Kubrick shows those elves in his movies, and he coordinates with them. And that's what I think got him taken out, because he told of that particular hierarchy. Those machine elves are not really supposed to be talked about. But that's my opinion why I think Clark and Kubrick were together on to do their thing with this whole moon landing, was because of the technology.
Interesting. Hero, what about you? You're the youngest member of this panel, and so I actually remember the moon landing. So I'll talk about it after you. Go ahead, Hero.
I remember the first time I saw it, I always thought it looked kind of weird, but I don't know. I didn't really have anything to compare it to, because I saw it when I was in like kindergarten or something. So I don't know. I always thought it just looked strange to me. It almost looked like what's a good example? Like a claymation or something. like those old films where they had like the toys and they would like slowly move the parts of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Gumby.
Yeah, that type of stuff.
Gumby. Yeah, exactly. I've got an animation going on the screen while we talk to kind of in the background, in case you don't know. People never saw it. I think they show it here. But I remember I was actually 3 years old at the time. It happened on July 20th, 1969. So I had just turned 3 years old, and I actually don't remember all of it, but I remember sitting in the chair with my grandfather, and I remember watching the liftoff. And here's the thing, guys. You don't have to fool all the people all the time. You just have to fool some of the people some of the time. Because the people that have been fooled will mock and ridicule those that haven't been fooled. And that silences people like us, who sits there and says, I think this is baloney. Looking at looking at the equipment that they had, you know what? I'm going to take this off the screen real quick. I'm going to see if I can pull up a picture. Have you guys ever seen, hold on a minute. There's 2 things. First off, the modular. The lunar modular, let me pull up a picture. And I'm going to go around and I'm going to ask you guys the panel. So here's the lunar modular right here, okay? This is how big it is. And you can see, it literally looks like tinfoil and curtain rods, okay? So they pulled a vehicle out of this Apollo 11 rover. They pulled this rover out of there and assembled it and put it together. Where was this? Can somebody help me out here? Where was this stored on that modular? Anybody?
I don't know. Up his behind, and that little rover looks like it has like beach chairs on it.
Let me see.
Pull that picture back up.
Hold on, you're right. It does. Beach chairs.
Look at that.
Yeah.
It's a doom buggy with beach chairs.
Yeah. And here's the modular. Where are they pulling it out of? Here's it all put together. John, where was it? Look, here we go.
Yeah.
Where? How? They got a Chevy factory. Brick says they got a Chevy factory on the moon. I mean, I've always questioned that because, you know, where do they store all these things, you know?
Well, that's the thing. Is just it's impossible.
Exactly. All right, so let me pull up this. This is what it says for the date that they went. July 20th, 1969. One giant leap for mankind. It says July 1969. It's a little over 8 years since the flights of Gagarin and Shepard, followed quickly by President Kennedy's challenge to put a man on the moon before the decade is out. There's only 7 months since NASA's made a bold decision to send Apollo 8 all the way to the moon on the first manned flight of the massive Saturn V rocket. Now, in the morning of July 16, Apollo 11 astronauts Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins sit atop another Saturn V at Launch Complex 39A at the Kennedy Space Center. The three-stage, 363-foot rocket will use its 7.5 million pounds of thrust to propel them into space and into history. 9:32 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the engines fire and Apollo 11 clears the tower. About 12 minutes later, the crew is in Earth's orbit. See if we can play this.
30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
We got a roll program. Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
Okay. After 1.5 orbits, Apollo 11 gets the go for what mission controllers call translunar injection. In other words, it's time to head for the moon. 3 days later, the crew in its lunar orbit. A day after that, Armstrong and Aldrin climbed into the lunar module Eagle and began the descent while Collins orbits the command module Columbia. Collins later writes that Eagle is the weirdest looking contraption I've ever seen in the sky, but it will prove its worth. When it comes time to set Eagle down in the Sea of Tranquility, Armstrong improvises, manually piloting the ship past the area littered with boulders. During the final seconds of descent, Eagle's computer is sounding alarms. Turns out to be the simple case of the computer trying to do too many things at once. But Aldrin was later to point out, unfortunately, it came up when we did not want to be trying to solve these particular problems. So, guys, let's talk a little bit about Ernie. You're an IT guy, right? For the most part, tech guy.
I'm more of a tech guy, but not an IT guy.
Okay, a tech guy. And John, you have I'm sure working knowledge of what the hell. What kind of computer technology did we have in the 60s?
I mean,
what computer technology?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Unless they have like the little films that like screwed back and forth, between, you know what I mean? Like I don't even know, microfilm, what they call it, I guess. But when was the first one made or whatever?
First computer, I believe, was
Well, before you go into that, Lori, since you were around during that time, was this shown live?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
This was shown live on TV. If you were in school, I know Dave and I have had conversations. Dave is 8 years older than me, so he was in school, and they brought the TVs into the classrooms, and everybody in the classrooms watched it as well. Yes, it was live.
Because from my study of technology, I'm not exactly sure if video could be shown live.
There's a lot of questions that I have about this whole thing. there's a lot of questions. I mean, they were saying that which one was it that they almost died and they had to finagle something to fix them to bring them back to Earth? I know Rick, help me out here, Rick. Which one was it? And they're saying that the cell phones we have now are like 1,000 or 10,000 times more powerful than the technology that put them on the moon.
Right, but you can't even go up 1,000 miles without losing reception.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't use a cell phone, in anything like that, in an airplane.
And satellite phones were an afterthought back then.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, just thought I'd ask because it's a question, All right, so let's see what this one is. How long it is? 2 minutes.
I just can't imagine any kind of, because rockets had a guidance system, but the V1 and the V2s, they were guided, but they had just came out at the end of the war, and I think they only launched one in Britain. But they had radar, but it was kind of primitive to me.
Primitive, very primitive. Yeah, all this stuff was very primitive. I mean, and we're not even going to we'll get into it in a little bit, but we're not even going to get into the logistics of getting out of orbit. But we're going to get into that in a little bit. So take a listen. This is only 2 minutes long. I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. At the foot of the ladder, the lamb footbeds are only depressed in the surface about.
Who's the camera guy, guys?
1 or 2 inches, although the surface appears to be very, very fine grained as you get close to it. It's almost like a powder. Ground mass is very fine. And then a long one. Okay, I'm going to leave that 1 foot up there and both hands down about the 4th rung up. There you go. Okay, now I think I'll do the same. For those who haven't read the plaque, we'll read the plaque that's on the front landing gear of this lamb. There's 2 hemispheres, one showing each of the 2 hemispheres of Earth. Underneath it says, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD."
Okay, well, now this footage was sent back to Earth, and we saw it in supposedly within a short period of time after it happened. There was a lag, but we were basically almost seeing it in real time. Crazy?
I'm sorry, the technology wasn't there for that to happen.
Exactly.
I mean, that you have to sense it wireless for it to be viewed in real time, and that technology was not there.
They drug that phone cord up there.
I drove a phone cord.
I guess so.
Exactly. All right, so I have something that I want to play for you guys. All right, let's get out of this one. All right, so my question is a question that a lot of people I know when they talk about the moon landings, they ask about the Van Allen belt. What do you guys think about the Van Allen belt?
Well, according to that one NASA scientist, they couldn't go past the Van Allen belt.
Yeah. Why don't we take a listen to that one NASA engineer?
Oh, you have it.
Listen to what he says, guys.
Orion is getting ready to launch. My name is Kelly Smith, and I work on navigation and guidance for Orion. Orion is NASA's next-generation spacecraft. Built with versatility in mind, it can take astronauts deeper into space than we've ever gone before, to an asteroid or even onto Mars. For these missions, Orion has to be one tough spacecraft, withstanding high speeds, searing temperatures, and extreme radiation. Before we can send astronauts into space on Orion, we have to test all of its systems. And there's only one way to know if we got it right: fly it in space. For Orion's first flight, no astronauts will be aboard. The spacecraft is loaded with sensors to record and measure all aspects of the flight in every detail. It all begins with launch aboard a Delta IV Heavy rocket. As it punches into Earth orbit, Orion will jettison its launch abort system. The abort system is a safety feature designed to pull Orion and its crew out of danger if there were a problem with the rocket during ascent. Orion's journey is just beginning. As the spacecraft and the upper stage begin their first lap around Earth, Mission Control in Houston is monitoring the progress of the flight. Orion's over 100 miles up and going about 17,000 miles per hour. Just as it passes over the Indian Ocean, we lose communication. This is expected. The communications link we have through satellites to Orion is momentarily lost, but Orion continues to receive and process data. Its computers can handle 480 million instructions per second. Imagine you are traveling with Orion as the flight test continues. One orbit completed. Time to go. The upper stage of the rocket fires again. Like the setup for a roller coaster ride, this is the big climb we've been waiting for. We are headed 3,600 miles above Earth. 15 times higher from the planet than the International Space Station. As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space. For this,
catch that? Before they send people through that region of space. And this is just recently.
And notice that he also said that once it crosses the Indian Ocean, they lose communication.
Right, that too. Yeah. So he's saying that there's another video, and I cannot find it, but I think I found it, but it's like 35 minutes long, and I'm not going to play it. But there was a NASA engineer. There was 4 people on the panel, and there was somebody asking questions, and the question was asked: what problems did the Van Allen belt cause the Apollo project? And you know what her answer was? The Van Allen belt wasn't a problem because it hadn't been discovered yet.
So if it wasn't discovered yet, how can they have landed on the moon when it's supposedly past the Van Allen belt?
It wasn't a problem because it hadn't been discovered yet. Exactly. And you saw that, modular. There's no way that stuff protected from the radiation. If that was the case, and let's give them the benefit of the doubt. If it did happen and they did re-enter our atmosphere in that teeny tiny modular, why is it that they're still alive and they haven't died of cancer from the exposure to the radiation?
Well, with the amount of radiation that supposedly is on that belt, they wouldn't have made it.
No, they would have burned up.
Yep.
John, what's your thought on that?
So they came back right in that little tinfoil thing. What am I thinking about when they show the thing coming out on parachutes?
You're thinking about the actual. Okay, so here's this doesn't make any sense either. Hold on a second. Okay, so what did they come back on? Let me show you the Apollo module that they came back on. So APOL, Apollo 11 re-entry capsule. Okay, let's take a look at the capsule. And this is where you would see the this thing here.
Well, how'd they get back in that?
Apparently, when they took off from the moon in the capsule or in the modular that we saw, they reattached themselves to whatever the other guy up there was flying around. They actually had the technology and the ability going hundreds of thousands of miles an hour to reattach, go back down and into this modular, release it, and head back to Earth.
Well, they did land on an asteroid and make some drill holes and put some nukes down there.
I saw that movie too.
So this probably did happen like that.
I saw that movie too. Armageddon. Look at that. Exactly. You know what? Here's the thing: is if we can go into a movie theater and for 2.5 hours, believe what we're seeing on the screen, don't you think that they can't fool us in real life? Come on.
Oh, easily. I mean, that's the thing. You can. That's probably something I never really thought about. Is because of that. Like, they come down in parachutes on that. But how in the hell did that little tinfoil thing meet up with that, like you said? And I mean, it's just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
I mean, judging by the size of those parachutes too, factoring all the weight, how would it be able to land like that?
Oh yeah, like it looks like they just dropped it from a plane into the ocean.
What they did, actually, to tell you the truth, that's what they did.
Hero, did you have you seen anything on TikTok about those types of things as far as like coming off of rockets into the water? Because I know I've seen those rockets going up into the atmosphere and I've seen nothing but like rippling.
Yeah, it's weird. Usually when you see the rockets go up, they almost always curve. Like they'll like curve, and it literally looks like someone's jet skiing on the sky. It's kind of crazy when you see those videos, and you can only really find those videos on TikTok. I think a lot of them used to be on YouTube, but they started taking them down.
That's the thing too. Like Hero said, how can you get this? This basically this ballistic missile that von Braun built. How does that go into space? But Elon Musk, who weighs money, basically, he don't count money, he weighs it. He can't build a rocket that doesn't blow up. That doesn't or do that. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense.
What we're seeing right now is the rocket hitting the waters above.
Yeah,
exactly
it's like they know what it does, but people are like, "Oh no, that 1969 rocket did all of that," but Elon Musk, he got all that money, but he can't build nothing that'll get out of here.
Elon Musk is even saying that the moon landing was BS as well.
Well, he knows, and this is my opinion. I think the firmament is a literal dimensional veil.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same aspect of the Garden of Eden. I think when it says the serpent was the most cunning, it wasn't that he was emotionally smart. It was because he was technology smart. He got into that literal dimensional plane that the Garden of Eden was on because there was no fallen human yet. So they were like way above than wherever we were at. They had the Jesus conscience basically.
Right.
And they were on a different dimensional plane, and that damn serpent could get in there. And I think that's the same as them being able to leave dimensionally this planet.
Exactly.
Because,
Go ahead.
get into Rahab or whatever, Mars. I mean, all the ancients talked about those planets. And it's like, well, how are they over there? Why they have to escape them places with rocket ships, with stargates,
Right, exactly. Well, the Bible tells us in Psalm 115:16 that the heavens are the Lord's, but the earth has he given to the children of men. He's telling us right here, the heavens are mine. Look what he did to the Tower of Babel. He destroyed it because it tried to go into his realm. This is ours down here. That's his up there.
Yeah, I talked about it in my sermon on Sunday, about the Tower of Babel. I mean, man has been trying to ascend up to heaven for thousands of years, and God always found a way to block them. I mean, that's the point of the serpent, because he wants to ascend and be like the Most High God. So if he can convince man that we can be our own gods, that will motivate us to try to get up there. I mean, that's why we've talked about it in previous shows that they were trying to launch nukes to break the firmament because we want up there. But God is so holy, he can't have sin infiltrate heaven.
Right. Operation Fishbowl. Fishbowl, was it, John?
That's correct.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that, are not adding up. I'm going to play this for you guys. Listen to this.
This guy, former astronaut Don Pettit, says that we don't currently have the technology to go to the moon anymore, let alone to Mars, because for some unknown reason, we destroyed that technology.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Huh? Trillions of dollars were spent to go to the moon, and they're trying to say that just destroy it? Why? NASA lost 14,000 reels of science data from the fake moon landing accidentally. Yeah, these reels. This is how, if you're young, this is how we used to do the movies. This is how film was put out in these reels, and somehow, some way, they were destroyed, lost, or get this, filmed over.
Well, here's the thing. The gentleman, he refuted himself. I mean, he created his own L by saying we don't have the technology. We all know dang well technology has evolved like light years ahead of what it was back then.
Yeah, exactly. John, you're gonna say
something? It doesn't even make sense.
No.
When he said that they just, to me, like when he says that, well, it'll be a painful process to build it up again. Why does it involve a lot of human sacrifice? You know what I mean? It's just, if the Tower of Babel was indeed a Stargate, they opened up a portal and God could see them and they could see him and he knows what they could do. I think that was the ultimate, let me go ahead and just break them up again. Because I mean, it's 244 years after the floodwaters receded. And then Nimrod and Osiris, Osiris is down there causing trouble. And it's like, God's thinking that, this butthole got the Nephilim stuff. And here he is. He's opening up. Now I got to do something again. And, of course, we all know what happened. But it was that technology. It was a dimensional, it lifted the dimensional veil. And I think that NASA didn't do particularly a moon landing, but I think they did something with the portal. And I think they might have gotten out, off this plane, this dimensional plane, and learned about different things. my opinion is about like the Viking probe of 1958. I think that was Nephilim technology that got that probe to Mars to take pictures of the Cydonia region.
Wow.
I think that was real. I think that broke through with the help of the fallen angels, because that's the thing. Why would they go to that one spot on that? If Mars is real, why would they go to Sidon, the same area that's mirrored and basically Lebanon today? Because that was Phoenicia. Sidon was the capital. Why would they go to that mirrored area of that and see, the pyramids in the face and all the measurements add up? The probe caught so much stuff. And that's why I think that particular operation was Nephilim technology.
Because, I mean, seriously, they didn't have CERN back then. We have CERN now. There is no way, if those things were real, they couldn't go back there.
Right.
I mean, that it's just putting two and two together. It's easy math.
Well, I mean, if and that's a big if, we have gone above in the space in the firmament, then why is it that NASA employs more CGI technicians and more artists than any other company in the world? Why would they need that? Guys, the things that you see on TV, when you see these rockets launch, the only thing real you're seeing is it taking off from Cape Canaveral. Once it gets past here, this is the trajectory, and it goes into the Atlantic Ocean in the Bermuda Triangle area. Then you know what takes over on our screen? CGI. And they try to make you believe what you're seeing is real, and it's not.
I mean, if they're going into space, why would it show as an arch? That's my question.
Well, there is a reason for that, and I'll pull it back up and I'll show it. Okay, so their excuse and their reasoning and rationale for this is that when it takes off down here at the corner, you see, and it goes up, and right as it gets to the top and it arches, that's them. Let me see if I can explain this. So it takes off and it heads out over the Atlantic Ocean, and it looks like it's arching, but it's not really. What it's doing, it's going over the horizon of the curvature of the Earth, and it's going to bring it around, and they're going to slingshot it to the moon. Does that make sense?
No.
That's their rationale for
it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying, don't kill them out. I'm just saying that's their rationale for it, 100%. But everything we see is completely CGI. And if you go and you look at images of new discovered planets, there was a couple. I think it was on Reddit. I don't remember where. No, I don't go on Reddit, so it wasn't Reddit. It was someplace that they were showing. It was a new planet that they had just, and I'm using air quotes here, discovered, and they had a picture of it. And somebody was like, "Oh my God, that's the bottom of a dirty frying pan." You guys remember that?
No, I don't.
Hold on, see if I can find it. Yeah, crazy. Here, I got a short video to play.
Educate and sometimes just make us say, wow. Over the years, NASA has given us spectacular photos and renderings that reveal a colorful.
I'm going to stop right here. Does this look familiar to anybody, this right here?
Oh, that's definitely iPad Goat.
It's iPad Goat, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, that is so iPad Goat. Wow.
Oh yeah. Let me see if I can pull up iPet Goat here.
In the headline, it says NASA artist. Why in the heck would it be artists from NASA? That's a huge red flag right there.
Yep. Hold on a second. Okay. So here is the picture of, and I'm going to finish playing this, but here's the picture. Okay. Here's iPet Goat.
Wow.
Huh. Can't make this up, y'all.
What exactly do you
I'm
think the meaning of iPet Goat was? I always thought it was very like complex and confusing.
It
Almost.
is very complex. We should do that for a Wednesday night breakdown iPet Goat. That'd be very interesting.
No doubt. And now Chris Martinez is introducing us to two of the artists behind some of the most iconic space art in the galaxy.
In a small, bright office, working side by side,
let's see.
Robert Hurt and Tim Pyle bring the universe to life.
What we're doing does have real science underlying it.
Robert is an astrophysicist turned artist. Tim, once a Hollywood animator, is now a planet illustrator. Together, they produce some of NASA's most popular images, from renderings of how planets light years away could look, to actual photos of stars and galaxies captured by NASA's powerful telescopes.
And this is sort of how it comes to me. And
many of those images have a dark, grainy start, but color and light reveal an astonishing glimpse of how the deepest regions of space might appear to the human eye.
What I'm trying to do is show people sort of the broader colors that the universe has to offer.
It's a delicate blend of imagination and data. The artists meet with NASA scientists over many drafts to ensure a planet or galaxy's look lines up with the research to make each one as accurate as possible.
I love the challenge. It's kind of like a puzzle to me of trying to create something that looks really cool within the restrictions that were given by the scientists.
It can take days, even weeks, to produce just a single image. The dazzling final results, enough to keep us all dreaming of the final frontier for years to come. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Pasadena, California.
So basically, the special effects that they use to trick us to believing like this new telescope, this all these new galaxies that they found and these new planets they found, you're not really getting an accurate depiction of anything. It's all an artist's rendition.
I was just about to say, it appears that they have no reference points whatsoever.
No.
I do
and
know.
And they talk about using a telescope. If they had a telescope, then what's the point of creating something as an artist?
Correct. What, John?
I think the only telescope that I believe in, and this is the only thing that concretes me, is the Vatican telescope on Mount Grant.
Right.
Those buttholes have that for a reason. They don't have that for a planetarium for field trips. They got that damn telescope because they know what they're looking for, and they know that's my whole thing about the flat Earth. If people tell me, well, there's nothing in space, I'm telling you, the Vatican did not take that mountain and put a damn telescope on it just because they just felt like it.
Right.
That is real.
And they didn't name it
serpents,
Lucifer telescope because of it either.
100%. Those serpents they don't give a crap about nobody's flat Earth theories. They're like, go ahead, please continue with that and don't mind us. That's what they want. They want you to, oh no, there's none of this, there's none of that. And they're eating it up because they're laughing, saying, look at these dragons here in this outer space. Oh, look at what's left of Rahab. Oh, look at Mars. We can see where the little, fallen angels lived in Sidonia. You know what I mean? They know that stuff. That's my only argument. The Vatican don't have that damn thing for nothing.
That's right.
I don't care what nobody says. I know what the Vatican is.
And if you want to learn information on that, look up Chris Putnam and Tom Horn's book, Exo Vaticana. They actually went to Mount Graham and they were allowed to view the telescope, weren't they?
Yeah, there were, and they said all the astronomers, the Vatican, whatever, they literally were talking amongst themselves, and they said, "Well, we got to wait till the UFOs get out of the way to see what they." And this is just regular old talk. Like, yeah, there's a UFO right there.
Not very nonchalant.
Yes.
Chris Putnam said they were talking like we're just old friends talking. Okay, just wait just a minute. We just gotta wait for this UFO to move out of the way, and we'll show you. And it was like, what?
Exactly. They told them that we got to get this UFO out of the way, then we'll show you something cool.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is insane because we lost Chris Putnam actually a few years ago, and he put a lot of truth out before he passed. That was for sure. I have a couple videos. Let's try this one.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today I'd like to bring to your attention a potential fraud on an enormous scale happening in York County. There's now clear evidence of NASA using numerous methods to grossly mislead the public about astronauts being on the International Space Station. During interior ISS scenes from NASA's own live feed, the use of wires, harnesses, green screens, and virtual reality have been detected to achieve the appearance of a weightless environment. Examples of this include astronauts fading in and out of the screen, green screen glitches, grabbing objects that aren't really there, pulling on invisible wires, getting tangled in their harnesses, and even astronauts appearing out of thin air. This begs the obvious question. If they're really up there, why are they using Hollywood techniques to fake the footage? Now, unfortunately, I can't show you these clips in here today, but I will be sending them to you. Outside the International Space Station, during spacewalks, air bubbles have been recorded on numerous occasions. How is it possible for air bubbles to be present in the vacuum of space? I once questioned astronaut Scott Kelly about this phenomenon. His body language and answers only created more questions. In 2013, astronaut Luca Parmitano nearly drowned during a spacewalk when his helmet filled with water. This happened again just last year. Air bubbles, helmets filling with water, and drowning. Are they in space or are they underwater? Now, what's really interesting is that they trained for spacewalks in an underwater pool with a complete ISS replica. Now, surely they aren't filming these spacewalks in an underwater pool and then editing them to appear if they're in space, because that sure would be something, wouldn't it? I'm calling on the Brevard County Commissioners to open a full investigation into NASA's fraudulent practices and use of taxpayer dollars. It costs NASA $3 billion per year to operate the ISS, and if they don't have a darn good explanation as to why they're faking these videos, I and the public would like a darn good explanation as to where our tax money is going. And if they are indeed faking the funk, it is our duty to expose and eliminate this fraudulent and astronomically wasteful ISS program. And look, I know what you're all thinking. The NASA is part of the federal government, and you're just county commissioners. Even if what I'm saying is true, what can you do? But let me remind you, not only is this happening in your county, as public officials, you have the platform and the ability to make a statement or hold a press conference, alerting the public, state, and federal authorities to investigate further. You have the power to start the conversation. Video evidence of everything I described today will be emailed to you all, and I truly hope we can get to the bottom of this. I look forward to the day that $3 billion annual budget is put towards our veterans, our homeless, maybe some of that mental health stuff the young lady just spoke about, and the revitalization of Brevard County.
Yeah, he's right. That's another thing. Obviously, the wires and I like when the little beach ball like falls down out of their hands and they got to grab it real quick.
Right? I got a couple more. Let's watch this guy. This guy actually is up on the ISS. He drops a screw. How can he drop a screw?
There was another picture of an astronaut getting pulled by a string from somebody else to get it out the way.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of those videos. Yeah. I'm going to try to find the one with Bush where they show the green screen. I'll see if I get that one.
Hier achter deze panelen wordt de urine opgevangen en
Oh, dropped it. Oh, it's on the floor. You dropped it on the floor and it hit the floor. So much for gravity, huh? Or so much for no gravity, huh?
Yep.
So what else I got? Here's another one.
International Fake Station. Globalists
Hi.
wake up.
Good afternoon, all the students on Earth. I'm Jai Zhigang. I'm the commander. Good afternoon. My name is Ye Guangfu.
Absolutely correct. The standard cup will not work in a weightless environment. You know, the cup that we're all used to drinking. A standard cup like this does not work in a weightless environment. It requires gravity to hold the food in the bottom of the cup.
Uh-oh. Oh, God.
Fake Station seems very level, floating in space, not even a little lean.
That's an interesting one.
Selective
Selective
gravity.
Right? That's funny. Selective gravity.
I swear it has one. They're all lined up, and there's a girl in the middle, girl astronaut in the middle of like all the guys, and the guy on the end, he has a beach ball that looks like the globe, and then he drops it, and then she goes after, but she's like, shit, I can't get after it because I can't move, I can't let it drop.
Right.
Her face is so funny.
That's funny. Here's an interesting character who's been putting a kibosh in the moon landing for a while now. Let's listen to what Buzz Aldrin has to say.
Hey, Lori, before you play that,
Yeah.
I don't know if you have it, but there's a good video of Buzz Aldrin answering a question to a little girl
Got it already.
about. Stop reading my mind.
Already pulled up. I'll play it after this. Already got it.
Admits the moon landing was fake.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest. It didn't happen. It could have been scary. Circuit breaker.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen. So in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something.
Fascinating. I remember very clearly, I think anybody who was alive at the time does. I remember my parents waking me up and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation. So you associated what you saw with.
I have very hazy memories.
Yeah, I know.
Well, no, but what we saw was we all were gathered around the old curved top radio and listened.
Talking about how many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said contact light, engine stop, and a few other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed. Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
Yeah. This was, so were you self-conscious about all the entire.
Yeah, and remember when Buzz, he talked about the obelisk on the moon, and then not long after that, he went down to Antarctica. Remember he went down to Antarctica and got all sick?
He did. They had to take him, they had a medical flight him out of there, take him to Argentina, was it? For medical treatment.
I think he got to talk when I think this is, of course, my opinion. I think Buzz Aldrin participated in the Stargate. I think he did enter something. I think he went somewhere else. When people deal with Stargates, they get not special treatment, but they probably get like a get out of jail free card, in my opinion. And I think that when he was doing all this, they summoned him to Antarctica, and I think he met with a hierarchy that's down there.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably literally, they probably threatened him enough to where it scared the shit out of him. Then he had a heart attack or whatever.
Right. Yeah. That was my thought when it happened as well. That was 2016, guys.
Because he hasn't said nothing since.
He hasn't. It was 2016. Here is the guys who just made history. Will go down in the history books, go down in infamy as the three men who just three human beings who just set foot on the moon, and yet they don't look too happy, do they? Does that look like people who just made history?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
They look distraught, like depressed.
They got to talk.
They got to talk, right? They got to talk. Buzz Aldrin probably was like, you know what? I haven't got much time left to live. I don't care. Kubrick. Let's go back to Kubrick. Kubrick actually put a lot of things in his movies debunking the moon landing. Here is Apollo 11 in the movie The Shining. He's telling us something there as well.
Yeah, he did. You're right, Laura. He did a lot of that in The Shining. He put something about, there's another picture. I don't know if it's a patch or something, or those twin girls. Something had to do with them girls. Some kind of NASA thing.
Yeah. A lot of his movies they revealed a lot of truth. Did you guys know, and this is kind of off topic, but it's kind of interesting, that Rothschild has in their mansion or castle or whatever you want to call it, it's where they have the Illuminati parties every few years. Kubrick, they told him to shut his mouth. Literally, they told him to shut your effing mouth. And Kubrick wouldn't shut his mouth. And on his deathbed, he gave a confession. And after he passed away, there is a picture of Kubrick hanging on the wall at the Rothschilds' mansion.
Yeah.
This may be opinion based, but suppose they did space exploration, but maybe they weren't going up. Maybe they were going down.
That's something that I've been looking at, that it's has to do with Stargate in the ocean getting us to wherever we're going. I don't know. That's something to definitely look into, because it's a theory that is going around. We talked about this before we went live. Astronauts gone wild. Anybody seen it? I'm going to show you a little bit of it. Body language.
I've seen that one.
This one? Yeah. It's actually a documentary. It's like an hour long. And I can't find it anymore, but I did have to find this.
In the argument, and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Several, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Well, you're talking to the wrong guy. Why don't you talk to the administrator at NASA? We're passengers. We're guys going on a flight.
I don't hit people, but you're going to be on the deck unless you get
I'm heading out. I
get the hell out of the
Well, I hate your stuff and get the out.
Why don't you quote me and say it's bull? And the shadows in her uncle. I don't give a damn about all that.
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
You want me to knock you in the head?
Well, I want you to swear to God on the Bible that you walked on the moon. If you walked on the moon, we're given the opportunity to swear to God that you walked on the moon.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to get the hell knocked out of you if you don't leave me alone.
Watching them lie through their teeth, carry.
If you really did something and you have a conviction about it and you know in your heart of hearts that you're not lying, would you have a problem with putting your hand on the Bible and swearing to that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard when you're a demon.
Right. And all these guys were, as it's mentioned in chat, all these guys were 33rd degree Masons. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. We're not just talking about Apollo 11. We're not just talking about, Apollo 13. We're talking about every single astronaut, past, present, has been a 33rd degree Mason.
Yeah, I believe they weren't triggered by the questions they were asked. I think they were triggered by the object that was used to ask those questions.
That and the fact that they had to, they don't acknowledge the Almighty. Like, they don't want any kind of, because they're like, do you swear on the Bible? Well, that's God's word. Well, they know that they can't make a swear to the, to the Hebrew God that's real. So they're not going to acknowledge that I got to swear to the Most High. They're not going to do it. That's why they get so aggressive and mean.
Well, it's because they're at war with them. That's why.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're not gonna bother with making that not really a deal, but making that the acknowledgement, because they don't want to acknowledge him.
Right. So, Hero, what are your thoughts on all this? Do you think it's because it's spiritual, because they're being presented the Bible in front of them, or do you think it's something more nefarious going on as far as like why they're not admitting it even at their old age?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think I don't think they'd ever just admit that unless it's on their deathbed because of possible repercussions.
Yeah, it could be that too. I mean, all these governments are nothing but a bunch of mafia people anyway, so they don't may not necessarily care about their own lives, but they may care about the lives of their loved ones. We've seen that happen time and time again.
Blackmail. It's a pretty good motivator.
Yep.
What do you guys think about rodents in space?
Yeah, I remember that. I think you're going to bring up that that video, that little mouse.
Take a look at this, guys. Let's see if I can.
They took a monkey to the moon, right?
No. Okay. Right here. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
Right
look
here.
at that. It's a mouse, Ernie, or a rat.
Right here's a mouse. See
oh,
it?
Yeah.
This is supposedly on a rocket headed into space. Oh, there he goes.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Isn't it? Isn't it though? Isn't it? I'm gonna pull up one more, and I you know what, guys, I'm pulling this up because this is my favorite, and I think it's hilarious, and I bet you guys know which one it is.
Hello, we're going to be discussing this door mainly. You see this door? This door there. Oh, it bend. Did you see? Look, bend.
Oh gosh.
Bend.
Bendy door.
Bend. It's not a trick of the light. It bend. Bend. Ah, there they are coming out. And there is the door. Oh, they look like horrible maggots coming out of a not very delicious fruit. There is the door. This is a bend. It's a bending. Look. Oh, this is really, really bad bending. This is not metal. What is this? Why this door open out? All the pressure is inside. Shouldn't the door close?
It's highly
out?
flexible plastic.
Out. Look, it's closed, nice, secure. It looks very strong. Oh, you know the astronaut is now thinking, what are the way they are rolling? You stupid. I've got to carry this box. and come through here. Move out of the way. I saw you talking with my girlfriend. Oh, look. It's a bouncy, 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 bouncy. I bouncy, bouncy the door. Bouncy, bouncy. Now they are outside. You see all these cables and things that could be destroyed by one little microscopic meteorite? It doesn't matter. And the reason that they don't have tools when they go out there and they hold on like this, like we see so many times, is that all the cables are USB plug and play. So they don't need tools. You see?
All over USB plug and plays. Favorite part of that whole thing. Yeah.
Lori, did you see that post I sent you of it was like NASA released it was about the planet Uranus, and it was talking about how Uranus released a gas cloud and all that type of stuff.
I did see that. It was pretty funny.
That's what made me like really believe, okay, like they know this is like ridiculous at this point. But you know you're gonna have scientists who are like, yes, Uranus released a gas cloud, and it probably smelled really bad because of all the toxins in the gas cloud. It's like it's completely ridiculous.
It's almost like they troll us, but a lot of people just don't get it. They, for some reason, it just goes straight across, like over their heads, and they don't understand that they're being trolled. NASA laughs all the way to the bank.
Yeah. You know what? I just had a thought. They're doing this just to see how brainwashed we are, so they can implement something even further nefarious.
Oh yeah.
I think they're using it as a tool, like a measurement tool.
Yeah. Very well could be. Very well could be. Do you guys know what's going on with us going back to the moon? Has anybody heard about that? Going back to the moon?
I've heard about it. I don't know a ton about it though.
If I can find it.
That's when you talked about Ishtar that one time. That rocket was called Artemis. That's her other name.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. So the first crew mission is scheduled to loop around the moon in 2024, and the first Artemis landing is currently scheduled for 2025.
I'm sorry, Artemis already landed. We're
Right,
seeing
Artemis,
it everywhere right now.
Artemis is already back, exactly.
Yeah, Ishtar, she's out and about.
I'm going to pull this up because I want you guys to see their logo. Their logos always mean something. Take a look at this. Come on. That's their Artemis. And let me see. Did I pull it up? Did I not pull it up? I did not. Let's see if I can find the one.
Yeah, we got all that symbolism. I mean, Artemis, Space Force, NASA.
Yeah. Oh, here we got one. Let's check this one out. I forgot I got this one. Check this one out. Oh, Buzz.
Yeah.
There's Buzz Aldrin. Let me see if I can find. I'm looking for one specific one. I think I downloaded. Pretty sure I did.
I wonder what all those bracelets on his wrists symbolize.
Okay, wait. Is he a Kabbalist?
I didn't see a red bracelet, but
I didn't see. Yeah.
Seen all different types of weird stones and stuff around his wrist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, take that back. That is a red bracelet. It's not the typical rope bracelet that you see.
Right.
Well, that could be the stones. That could be Kipu, also.
What's that?
That's a fallen angel language.
Oh wow.
The Incans perfected it. It's like it's the stone, the pictures on the stone, the distance they are from each other. And if you look on like ley lines, the larger picture is how far the ley lines and the stones are from each other when you look at them from the sky.
Oh,
but
wow.
when you condense it down and wear it, it's the symbol on the stone and depends how farther it's from the main symbol on your bracelet.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
That's called Kipu.
Kepu.
Yeah.
All right. Guess what I'm going to be looking at? Got another rabbit hole to go down.
Go get it, Alice. Go get it.
Oh, I know. Oh, here's another one. I guess I have a lot of pictures from this. Here's a question. Not once in history of space travel has an astronaut ever panned his camera around 360. Not even 180. He'll break that fourth wall, right? He'll show what's behind. What's behind the camera. Can't do that.
No.
How close do you guys think we are to disclosure, to an alien encounter?
I have a feeling we're within months.
Yeah.
Remember, we were talking about, all of the spiritual attacks, and Satan is really ramping up right now, and how we discuss, outside of, our lives, that June is going to be a very significant month.
Yeah, June, July. Yeah.
I think we're already just, I think, didn't we just finish up Beltane?
Yeah, May 1st.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, we've got the coronation this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to run the coronation. You can if you want, or I don't know. It's the same day as my anniversary of losing my mom, so I don't know how I'm going to be on Saturday.
What is it? What you said that? The coronation? What is that?
The king's coronation is on Saturday.
For who? Charles?
Yeah.
Oh, what? Oh, they're going to put
Chuckles.
The crown on him or something?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The pillow, Solomon's pillow, or whatever it's called, is already there. Yeah. So they're getting ready for it, and I don't know. I keep hearing Nostradamus was the one that said something about that something was going to happen on the date of the coronation date. I don't know. That's where I mentioned it earlier in the show, or I thought I had read it for somewhere, but it has something to do with a Nostradamus prediction. So we shall see. But
I think something with the Greys is definitely on the horizon.
Yeah.
There's been just different people messaging me and stuff. There's something about the damn Greys.
I wonder, I usually about every 6 months I go and I take a look and see what the Galactic Federation is talking about. I might have to go over there and check out.
Yeah.
See what they're
something about. Someone told me a story about their experience with a Grey, and I don't think I've ever heard it told like the experience. I believe them, but I've never heard of that particular experience before. Because usually Greys don't really. They'll probably try to convince you, from what I've gathered, but they don't get mean.
Yeah.
And this person took the story that he got mad, like
they got
really
mean
mad.
With me that one time.
What's that?
They got mean with me that one time. You remember
what they do to you? Because I never heard that.
It was almost just like a pack of them, and it was like the taller ones with like almost angry looking faces, and it was like a pack of them just were coming right towards me as I was closing my eyes to go to sleep, and I had to rebuke them. But that was because
what do you think they got mad about?
There's this guy who was quote unquote friends with them who came into my life.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he was like a warlock or something, because I started seeing black cats in my dream after, so I ended up blocking the guy. But he was talking about like how they give him all this knowledge and they tell him all this stuff, and I was like, dude, those are literally just demons inside of like synthetic suits. You know that, right? He's like, no, I don't believe that. And then later on, I started talking to someone else on their live about it, and they're like, yeah, I've been hearing that too. It makes sense. And then he was like, you know what? Now I think about it, that actually makes a lot of sense. So I
Ooh.
was starting to turn them just off of the knowledge that I was giving them.
You ticked
I
them
guess they got
off.
mad about
Oh
that.
yes, you got them. Yeah. Well, yeah, you
And
were
then
taking.
not long after that, I kept seeing two like bright lights behind my house for like a couple days after until they dipped out.
Oh yeah, they were trying to get you.
That's not gonna work though.
Yeah. You're about ready for a probing.
You know what Cartman said?
Yeah.
Man, we're about to become somebody's puppet.
You know what Cartman said about that?
Oh man.
Let's see what else we got here. Let's just say I am probably 99% convinced that we never went to the moon. I think what happened was that the United States was trying to get to the moon so much quicker because that was the reason we needed to beat the Russians. And what better way? Look, we didn't have the technology. We kept blowing up the rockets. People kept dying. We weren't getting anywhere, and so they hired Kubrick to convince the world that we actually went, and convince the Soviets that we went, and that we could win that the space race.
I bet they did in Arizona or someplace.
That supposedly was over in the UK. There was a huge warehouse over in the UK, I believe it was. Let's see if I can find that. Pretty sure. Where did
Well, that makes sense if you had Arthur Clarke with him, and then I'm sure the Rothschilds had something to do with it. Because I mean, the Rothschilds, if you expose them, that's the whole thing. If I don't know if Kubrick was a Mason, but if you want to go that route and say that, they do the throat slash and you can't tell, you get your whatever guts torn out, I don't know. But the thing is, if they told Kubrick one time, look, this is your warning, just shut up and take your money, be quiet, and then he still did that with the footage from that movie, then that's probably why you said they had a picture of him hanging like that's their trophy.
It was exactly that. Is exactly right.
They always give you like, okay, this is the deal you took now.
But it wasn't the first time that he had revealed their secrets. He had revealed their secrets in The Shining, 2001: Space Odyssey,
Yeah.
Eyes Wide Shut. All of those movies were Kubrick movies, and if you watch them and look at them with fresh eyes and with you can see that he told a lot of things in those movies, a lot of their secrets.
Yeah, but see, and Kubrick was involved with the Ascending Masters, but he didn't go along with it, and I think that's why they got him. Just like Tesla got the technology from the Nephilim, and then he was like, well, I might use this for good, and then they got him. You got to go with what they give. If they make a deal with you and you get it from them, you have to do what they say. And if you stray off, then you're just gonna.
I'm gonna show you this. This is NASA Studios, out of this world production, guys. NASA, like I said, NASA employs the most CGI technicians, the most artists than any other entity in the world. They have an endless supply of money. If a Hollywood studio can make you believe that you're up in space, because there's a lot of really good space movies out lately. If they can convince you for 2 hours that you're up in space with a budget of say 10 million, can you imagine what a budget of 500 billion can do?
Yeah, I mean, look at the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nothing but about space stuff.
Exactly.
I was gonna make a joke, but I can't think of the damn name of that show.
I try to pull up. Let's do this one. I'll do that one. Gotta be careful. Be careful which one I pulled up. And now with the creation of CGI, do you guys see that video, the supposed video of the rocket hitting the moon? It's been all over TikTok.
I have missed that one.
You have. Well,
So, hitting the moon?
Yeah. Supposedly.
I saw
a video of
TikTok.
someone.
Go ahead, Hero.
Oh, I was gonna say I saw a video of this guy hitting the moon with a laser pointer.
Yeah, you're right. I saw that one too. They had one. It was footage of something leaving the moon, and it was like, wow, what is that thing? You know.
Was that little puff that poof?
Well, no, it looked like a little, you know, the pill-shaped UFO that left.
Yeah. Let's see. I can't find it right now. It's been over on TikTok quite a bit. Yes.
And for some reason, TikTok is still not banned yet.
No, not yet. No, not yet. And I don't think they will, because didn't Biden just make a TikTok the other day announcing something? He was some video. Somebody said, they were like, well, if he's going to ban it, why is he using it?
Well, there's a bunch of TikTokers who came together and said that if TikTok, basically, to send a bunch of emails to their whatever congressman was in their state to not ban it, and if they did, they would vote for their primary, and those got millions of views. So you're messing with their pockets now. So I'm thinking that these congressmen are going to back off that,
at least for a little while.
Well, I hope so. I'm trying to show you guys.
Plus, I don't know. I think it'll probably just backfire on them anyway. Because now a bunch of people who were super absorbed into one app have a bunch of free time to protest and do all types of crazy crap. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, TikTok helps pass their agenda too. So even if, that's the thing, it's a double-edged sword. If it helps people learn, say, conspiracies or open their eyes or whatever, it also has the other side too that promotes, people taking over these Capitol buildings or whatever. We know what movement we're talking about.
Yeah.
But it does both, so they can't get rid, because it does propaganda for both sides.
I mean, they're already seeing the effects of go woke and going broke.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. It's so small of an operation, but it's covering everybody's life.
Yep.
I mean, they're literally, it's lunacy. The stuff people believe, and I'm like, man, as much as you can convince people that men can have babies now and all this, it's like, man, I could have made so much money back in the day making up. I would never got my ass whipped as a kid if I told those kind of lies.
I hear
it's definitely. I mean, we're seeing strangest things happening in social media, and it's going to progressively get worse.
The people, when they sit in there and they have these congressional hearings, and they're like, "Yes, men can have a child," and it's like, really, you're wasting all this time on that? You got these big meetings, and did you hear what they just said? I don't see that. Literally, the saying of beating a dead horse is that's real. They're literally sitting there and saying the same thing over and over and over, and people are like, well, I've heard it 50 times, so I guess it's true. And
I ain't worried about adjectives, nouns, and all the other stuff in the English language. I'm worried about the real stuff that's going on right now.
That's the thing. But people, they'll come after you, and because the whole thing, I guarantee you, it's I've already seen on TikTok. where they're coming after, if a man doesn't date a trans woman, then they're bad. That guy's bad. It's like there's no choice anymore. And this is Sodom and Gomorrah. Literally. It's what they did. There were no more biological people left. People think that word cis, oh well, cis is just that ain't made up. That was all ready to go. That you're an outcast. Biological people in Sodom and Gomorrah were outcasts.
That's right.
But it's literally crazy to me that people are wasting their time on that, and they have these huge meetings, and it's like the stuff that people say is just, my gosh, it's crazy.
I refuse to co-sign somebody else's mental illness.
That it's just, like I said, I've always been respectful of people. I've had family members that were in that lifestyle when I was younger. I get it. It's okay. It's what you do. I mean, I don't know. That's your problem, or it may not be a problem, or whatever the case may be. But once it starts, like, you're having to go after other people if they don't accept it in every way.
Exactly.
That's a military operation.
Correct. I'm showing a scene on the screen. Guys, I mean, if they can show this on the screen and make a movie for $10 million, imagine what they can do with $500 billion.
Oh, easily.
In a budget.
Well, this really happened, didn't it?
Super weird.
No, this is a movie.
That's from Tom Hanks' movie, right?
I don't know. It's Sandra Bullock.
Oh, this is Speed Part 3?
No, this is Gravity Detached.
Really? Okay.
In the movie Interstellar, I remember, I think they were teaching the middle schoolers that they faked the moon landing, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right. I think yes, I think one of those movies. I think it was Interstellar. Yeah. So, all right, guys, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. We got like 10 minutes, so why don't we do closing thoughts about? It doesn't have to be about NASA. It can be about the deceptions that plague the world, the lies that they're telling to convince people. Whatever you want to do. We'll start with John.
Well, I'll go back to what I've always said. It's the ancients talked about it. The planet Rahab, the planet Mars. That's all in tablets and discussed, and their studies. I wanted to throw in that the Pentagon actually paid some physicists to examine the samples from the Mars atmosphere, which contained isotopes that are only found after nuclear explosions.
Correct. Yep.
So that would say that there was a nuclear exchange. Guess where? On the Cydonia region of Mars. So it's always over there where the pyramids and all that stuff's at. And so anyhow, I go back to that the ancients knew about it. They talked about, the 3 cataclysms of the universe, the 3 Earth-Mars wars. So anyhow, I'm going to say that obviously go back to Jesus, you get discernment about it, whether it's, concerns flat earth or whatever. But I guess the whole thing is, I know what the Lord says about it in the scripture. And the reason I think that NASA's hiding it is because I think it would broaden people's minds and pretty much concrete them into that there is a creator. And it looks more fantastic whether you go past the ice wall or actually go into space. Dimensionally, which I think it is, not physically, because of the waters. But in any case, I think whatever kind of operation NASA's got going on, it's only, I think it's to keep you at a frequency that you can't go past. Because I think if your human eyes would see this second heaven and Abraham's bosom and all these things, I don't think that nothing could drag you away from the Lord. That's why I think that they hide what's really there.
I think you're absolutely right. True. Hero.
Yeah, it's like with the whole NASA thing, and then I'm just making crap up. Basically, it's, I don't know. I think eventually it's gonna get so blatant, even like the most closed eyes person could see it. Because when you're talking about them actually releasing articles talking about Uranus is releasing toxic gases, and basically that it's farting. It's like, come on, this is insanity. You know? And they have multiple things like that where it's like clearly like a middle schooler joke almost.
Yeah. Exactly. Ernie. Ernie. Did we lose Ernie?
No, you didn't lose me.
Here you are.
The deception is real, and it's going to get worse. And the Bible talks about, the great deception. Those who don't have their names written in the Lamb's Book of Life, God's gonna deceive them. And we see this come into fruition today, and this is just a microcosm of all the stuff that's going to be transpire within the last days. Now, if so many people can be deceived by something as minuscule as somebody landing on a moon with the technology that they had back then, what makes you think that the son of perdition, when he comes on the scene, people won't believe that he is God? That's a question everybody should ask themselves. I mean, we see all this deception about God is not real, that we can become our own gods, that science is our God. I was explaining to a buddy of mine that God is science. Science would not exist if it weren't for God creating the heavens and the earth.
Right.
There is no other way that we can be living sustainably in perfect balance if it wasn't for a creator. And the Most High God is the one who created everything that we see and experience and feel and taste and love. And we see the grand deception of the enemy try and corrupt those types of things and pull wool over our eyes to distract us from what's really going on and who's really is our true Heavenly Father. So, I mean, my advice is to step away from the things we view on TV, the stuff that we read in papers, from the internet, and just sit and think and use critical thinking. What is all this stuff that we're witnessing today is distracting us from? Distracting us to know who we are, what we are truly are as humans, whose we are. Because this deception is going to be at levels that nobody can ever imagine. And NASA is just a grain of rice compared to a huge bag of deception that has been ingrained into our minds since we were born, since history. Exactly. So we have to put on that whole armor of God. As John said, use discernment. You can't use discernment without studying the word of God, because God provides you with that ability by getting to know him. That's pretty much it.
Exactly. I'm just going to close by telling you guys, I hope you don't take away from this show tonight. I think a lot of people nowadays are getting stuck on the shape of the earth. I don't want you guys to take that away. I want you guys to take away the fact that we're being deceived. The reason NASA is hiding the true nature of the Earth, whether it's a donut, whether it's hollow, whether it's flat, whether it's a ball. Regardless of what it is, they are still hiding something from us, and they're doing it for a reason, for a purpose. They're doing it to shield the fact that if they showed us the true reality, it would bring a lot of people to God because it would prove that there is a creator. The Bible tells us that a strong delusion will be sent. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11, it tells us, and for this cause God shall send them a strong delusion that they should believe a lie. That can be said for a lot of different things, not just the shape of the earth, not just for the moon landing, not just for the whether you believe in aliens or not. It's everything that's happening in our world right now. The deceptions are just one right after another. Make sure that you get your houses in order. Make sure that you're in the Word. Make sure that you are building this foundation. So when the deception does come, when the man of perdition is revealed to us, when the Antichrist walks on the world stage, that you won't be one of those people that is going to be deceived, because he is going to do miraculous wonders and miracles, and he's going to fool a lot of people. Make sure that you're not one of them. I want to take the opportunity to thank everybody for watching tonight. I want to thank everybody on the panel as always. Thank you to our moderators, and until next time, guys, remember, eyes open, no fear.